Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with the Doctor Tonicmole. He's the goddamn Tonicmole for everybody out there. How you doing?
Great. How you doing?
Good, good. So you launched a campaign today,
Yes.
man. You are the hardest working man in crowdfunding. You
Yeah,
always,
I am.
yeah, pretty pretty. I'm impressed. You're pulling off an empire over here.
Trying a minimum wage empire.
Yeah, I mean, how many campaigns have you completed already? Like fulfilled and completed, and
Like probably 15 or 16.
man, you know, it's a joke, and it's not going to be a joke anymore. But me, Brian, Fabrizio, and a few other people have all been asking Tonic Mole their advice, and then we ignore the advice, and then we all say the same thing. We should have listened to Tonic Mole.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
So
it's,
this
it's,
campaign, On Call Heroes number 2. So I have my main series, Saving the World, which we're on issue number 12 right now. But then Jacob Sebesta, he was looking for just a project to do because he had done 5 issues of his own series, Vestry, and he was looking for something to do. I said, "Well, I got a great idea for you." So we did it's a spin-off. So I write it and then he draws it. But like with everything, I write it, but me and him brainstorm the ideas and stuff like that. And then
yeah,
I give him a script, generally how I handle the writing and between writer and artist. I write a script and it's like, if although he can fall back on that script, but he has a better idea, he goes with it. So a collaboration.
it's
So
a collaboration.
I'm not
Yeah,
really
you know
hiring.
how it is. I've been working with Renzo, and then a couple of people reached out. And everybody's a little bit different. Some people want like Renzo's just like tell me what you want, and I'll do exactly what you want.
Right.
And he only asked to change something if it just like the artist in him says, "No, it'll work better this way."
Hmm.
And then like Fabrizio Aiello, he was just like, "Give it to me Marvel method," and and
Right.
I found that to be like really stressful. I'm like, what is Marvel like? Just an index card. Here's the title of the comic. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah. And I'm
and then I gave you a big script, and you were like, I'm going to change style. So I'm just happy. It's fun.
yeah. Yeah. And see, that's why I like, because as a writer artist, I know that my script is like it's detailed. It's just that when I'm drawing it, the reality of what that looks like changes. So I adapt accordingly. So then when I work with the artist, now most artists that I work with, they might not be totally keen on, they kind of want to stick to the script. I said, but you're not going to be able to, like, I can't envision it from the script, right? I just write the script. You're going to be the one seeing how this thing lays out. And if
Right.
your spidey sense says this ain't flowing, I need you just to change it and
Right.
don't worry about it.
I have one of the guys. It's funny. The guy's works for me. I don't even know his real name, but he goes by Arkham, and he's drawn like a mythological based hero. And he just told me this doesn't work, and I'm gonna turn this. This needs to be a splash. And I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how it's gonna look when it's done.
Well, see, that when I started Saving the World and had Monk had drawn a picture of Batgirl, and I was like, that's the greatest. And I always was looking for good, like, artists who've done good pictures of Batgirl, and it's kind of oddly rare, like not a lot of focus on her. He did this amazing Batgirl. So then I asked him to do a cover, and me and him's relation, like how our relationship has kind of defined how I interact with other artists, because um he, like, his design of Kira and stuff is, hold on, I gotta sneeze.
I will say that Illustrator Monk is just beautiful. I love his. Well,
Yeah.
maybe he is beautiful too. I've never seen him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's probably beautiful, but I
Yeah.
love his artwork. And yes, I've seen that Batgirl picture.
Yeah.
And at the risk of sounding insulting, his illustration of Kara in the alternate comics made me go and get Saving the
Yeah.
World. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He to the point I reached out to him, and I would like him to do a cover or
Yeah.
variant or something like that in the future for my book. I think he is like is he still working on Phoebe the Witch? Isn't that like his own property? And
Phoebe, but let's see. No, yeah, I think he's a little bit. He's kind of moved on to. I think that's on the back burner. He's currently
oh
working mainly on Possum Girl.
yeah,
So that's
well,
his
Awesome Girl is great too. But you know, why not both?
right. Well,
He's got a left hand.
exactly. Draw both. Yeah, I think that because he really likes kind of so, to some degree kind of short form like comic strips type thing, and so I think that Possum Girl kind of fit his free time schedule and stuff and kind of what he was wanting to do. But I don't think Phoebe is um, completely off the thing. It's just it's a little bit more involved concept. So
Okay.
because he'll have a funding, he's going to do a issue of Possum Girl that's a collection of all of his stuff. And on our Patreon, he posts the pages that he's been doing. And one of them was in Saving the World. It was Possum Girl meets Hobo Girl. And so
Yeah, he draws such cute girls.
yeah,
He's a talent. And it's funny, you just met him from seeing this illustration.
yeah, just Twitter.
Okay, because you guys seem like best friends, like you'd be college roommates or something like that.
Well, over time, yeah, and we're polar opposites, but in the most like harmonious way. Like,
Yeah, he's a tiny black lesbian midget.
that's right. Right. Yeah. So, and me and him have hung out quite a bit, like in real life. Well,
that's cool. Real
yeah,
life.
the person
you
I've hung
things in real life. This is the
yeah,
internet. You're only supposed to talk bad about people when they're not on screen.
I know. Well, no, me and him have hung out the most of I've hung out with any other human, even ones that live remotely close to me. So
Oh, that's
he
cool.
he was driving by because, well, fortunately, I'm not much of a traveler, but he is, so he can stop by on his way somewhere cool. And so me and him we hung out at a casino because I live near a casino.
Oh,
And
cool.
so we hang out whenever he drives by, and we went to a comic book convention together,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
we met Jim Lawson, so that was cool. So I met 3 people that work on my comics. Well, no, I'm one of them, but 3 of us got together.
Oh, you met yourself
Yeah, in real life. So that's
in real life.
cool.
You met yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And so, and okay, but I got off track. So On Call Heroes #2 is a spin-off of my main comic. It's mostly the same characters, except for it focuses more on just the misadventures of my primary superheroes, the On Call Heroes, and the art by, and it's a different tone a little bit. It's not night and day or nothing, but we kind of focus on like our more absurd ideas take place with On Call Heroes,
Well,
things that I
would
can't.
you say that Saving the World? I'm a big fan of, by the way, and I've talked with Tonicmole like late into the wee hours about like future story plots. But would you say that Saving the World has like a through storyline,
Right?
and then this is more like let's do some more light, humorous, fun little stories that don't really impact the big story?
Yeah, kind of. The Saving the World is really the primary story, and so you'll see the biggest shifts and changes
Right.
heading towards the major story arcs. Whereas this helps me feed in world building details, because that was a thing. I was like, there was so much world building I wanted to get in there before just revealing the big story elements. This side comic allowed me to do that, to where I can say, yes, these girls are doing lots of stuff in between some of the major story arcs that I do. And so, this covers a lot of that. And sometimes just the most absurd stuff. But I actually had the idea for Pojo the Clown, they open a circus burger across the street from Big Burger. And Big Burger is where Kira, the main superhero, works during the day. And this circus burger opens across the street. And so they're all panicked because they might lose their minimum wage jobs, and but come to find out, there's something creepy about Pojo the clown, and so
First off, because he's a clown. So
right, the clown part doesn't help, and so you see Monk's little. That's the Pojo is a lady in this, so she's the busty clown lady.
okay. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking it was either one of your main characters like started working for another franchise.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
no, this is
that's
she's the clown for the rival franchise, but there's a
oh
big secret about her origin and where she came from.
okay. So she can honk my horn and spray seltzer at me. I'm
Exactly. Well, or vice versa. so, uh, so so yeah, she's kind of this new rival, and to Kira, who Kira in the comics, if people have been keeping up with Saving the World, they know she works at Big Burger, and often whenever she gets in trouble or stuff, she has to put on the Pickle King outfit and
right.
go out on the side of the road and kind of like a sign spinner type situation. And what's funny, you don't really, while writing this, there's no such thing as like someone who in any modern times dressing up in an outfit and going out. But we had a game exchange store in town, and whenever one of the guys would get in trouble, they'd make him go out to the side of the road and spin a little sign and hold a sign up all day. And so I thought, oh, that'd be funny if, and that was issue number 3, which was written by me, but drawn by Jim Lawson. So kind of my childhood hero, Jim Lawson, drew the first story focused on Big Burger, but he also drew a 3-page short. The first thing I asked him to do was a 3-page short, which was just a funny little idea that Kira would try to advertise being a superhero. So they'd put up flyers with their phone number on it, right? So the opposite of a secret identity, they're actually saying, call us if you need superheroes. But everybody looks at the poster in town and they think that they're advertising as people to perform at kids'
Right.
parties.
Yeah.
So that's mostly the jobs they actually get. They don't actually get. So it still works. Still, nobody knows who they are. Their secret identities are safe because everybody took this poster on. So, anyways, but they called themselves the On-Call Heroes.
I forget. I mean, I read all of your issues, but like, you focus on this small suburban town and these small girls.
Yeah,
not small girls. You know what I mean? Like regular people.
Right.
But are there Batmans and Supermans like in the big cities?
Kind of. So currently, no. There's nobody. I work off of a chronological timeline. So all of the superheroes appeared on October 3rd
Right.
of 1996. I'm in November in my comic.
Okay.
Late November. So
so nobody's taking it seriously. There's no such thing as superheroes.
Right.
Like, it's got to be a joke.
Right. The government is fully aware something insane is going on, but it hasn't really come out to the public yet. So there's no main figures like that. However, in the future of the comic, yes, you see more traditional.
Yes, you've time jumped.
Right. Stoic heroes start to appear, and then there is a huge catch-22 that I can't even explain because it's the whole plot.
Right. I just want to point out that this right here is all 4 of your guys working on, like, that bottom Mayo Mayhem. That was tough to say. That's your art, and man, have I really fallen in love with your art.
Thank you, sir.
I just really, your art is, for lack of a better term, it's just so charming and endearing. And I've said this a million times, and I 100% believe nobody does dialogue as well as you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are so good with dialogue. So when I gave you the Eddie is Doom script, you were like, "Do you mind if I change some dialogue?" I'm like, "Please do. Make it good. Make it,
And
you know."
I was trying to think of what is it that I do when I write, because I get a lot of people saying, "Hey, I like how you write your dialogue," and I was
Yeah,
like, I don't really even think about it when I write it. So I was like, what is it that I do? And I realized I'm in. When I was a kid and stuff, I loved impersonations. I'm not great at impersonations, but I like to try to do them. And that's what I'm doing. You know, when you think about impersonating someone, and you start to do a crazy voice or something, and you choose different words than you normally would
right.
as an impersonation. And I realized that that's basically what I'm doing, but I'm not thinking about it. But I go, okay, this person's kind of a slacker or something, so they'll speak more casually like this. And so I wouldn't say I put myself in the shoes of the person. It's not that complicated. It is merely my brain is impersonating somebody
That's
as I'm
funny that you
writing.
said that because my buddy Mike writes. You know, he's making a comic, and all of his characters have distinct dialogues and
Mhm.
person. But I never made the connection. He was amazing at impersonating people as a kid.
Right, right,
Like he would infuriate me because I would talk, and then instantly he would
mhm.
transform. Like, and he was a blonde little guy, and
Right,
he had my mannerisms. And man, it just was infuriating, you know, to
right,
have somebody that would. That's not me, and everybody would be like, "No, that's you." But he would do it to everybody.
right.
So that's funny. You're on something. Maybe you got a good ear and a good eye for the way
Yeah,
people.
and when I was younger, I did a lot of impersonations in like high school. And I think I was better then. Something happened and I lost it. I'm no good at it now.
You became an
But
adult and you stopped liking people.
yeah, I think so. And so then, but that's, yeah, I was thinking about it just the other day driving around town. And I was like, no, that's what it is. I'm partially, I write how people actually speak. And so, and there's a lot of friction between writers about whether you write it how they speak or you try to be more grammatically correct. And I go for how people actually speak. It helps my comic takes place near where I live, like geographically, and so I know exactly how we speak. We smash words together and shorten them, and we remove t's and stuff like that. And so you don't say want to because that's really hard. You say wanna, right?
Right.
WANNA. And so just little things like that. We don't say yes often, we say yep. And so just little things. And so to some degree I am just writing, saying it out loud and and then I type it how I say it. And then there's a little bit of impersonation to try to get into their what specifically their personality is. I'm not happy with where I'm at now. I want to get better because sometimes I think that, you know how an artist has same face, a writer can have same voice. And I feel like it helps that all my characters are women who are like slackers or something, um, because all their voices will be similar. But I feel like I'm maybe it's I have that, and then a lot of my other characters become cartoons. So like a bad guy, my bad guys are always cartoon bad guys when they're real evil. I have one showing up who it's a lot more darker, and I can write very dark haunting, but then when it comes to an evil bad guy, who's like overly evil,
Yeah, he turns into Doctor Doom.
right, exactly, I default to um the Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Speaking of
cartoon.
which, I just wanted to show you. This is your fault.
Nice.
This is your
Can I
fault.
have that?
Yeah, this is yours. Come and
Thank
get
you.
it. Come and get it.
Do I gotta drive there? And
Yeah,
so
Tonicmole shamed me for. I had an irrational hatred of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he was like, "You got to get issue number one." And I can't afford to buy the first printing. I got the fifth printing. What I could afford. But this is first printing number two.
that's awesome.
So when
Give
I
me,
read this, I'll get first printing number three, and
yeah,
I gotta say, I enjoyed it, number one a lot more than I thought I would.
yeah. And see, when I was a kid, I'm a little young for classic Ninja Turtles. So, I was 9 or 10 when the series kind of ended and moved over to the cartoon more. Like the cartoon was really taking off, but I was a huge Ninja Turtles cartoon fan. So then I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures, and that's what introduced me to comic book Ninja Turtles. And
Was that your first comic?
no, that was Batman.
Okay.
I was a Batman fan before Ninja Turtles, and so yeah, my first comic was 1987 or 88, and it was Batman. Detective Comics. I can't remember what number. I remember what the cover is. I still have it, but it was Norm Brayfogle and Alan Grant. Their run on Detective Comics, which was freaking to this day some of the best comic ever written. And so yeah, Ninja Turtles.
That's my favorite era of Batman, when he's immortal who solves crimes through detective.
Yeah,
he doesn't just have super alien technology and
yeah.
Arkham. Your ears must have been burning. I was just talking about you. This is the gentleman that's having so much fun illustrating one of my stories.
Mhm.
And he's like, I'm going to throw this in. Is that okay? I'm like, geez, I couldn't possibly ask you to do it. No, I'll do it.
Yeah, and well, me and Brian Baugh working together on, it's basically it'll be Lillian Wepawet #2. Back like 4 years ago, I did a Lillian Wepawet spinoff that reprinted some of their stories that was already in Saving the World, but then there was a 20-some page news story, so it's its own issue, and it was like a perfect bound little book.
Yeah, I love that. That's my favorite cover.
And I never got to go back. I mean, Lily and Wepawet have reappeared in Saving the World, but always wanted to do like a second issue, but I didn't have the time.
They're my favorite characters of yours. They won me to the point where they might show up in issue 2 of Heroic Tales.
Maybe. I've heard whispers.
Yeah,
and so Brian Baugh, he was, he has his own big series.
Wolf and Betsy, a wonderful comic.
Yeah, Wolf and Betsy. And he was looking to do something different. Now, when I first saw Wolf and Betsy, now I had no idea I'd never seen the comic before until a couple of years ago. And it was funny because, it's a girl with dark long hair and then this wolf type thing. Mine isn't a werewolf. His is a werewolf and a vampire. Mine is just a girl and this thing that looks like a wolf but isn't, and it's complicated. But I mean, it's undeniable that there's strong similarities, right?
Right.
And so
hot chick and monster guy.
Yeah, and when he was like, "Hey, dude, I'd like to do a little something in between Wolf and Betsy, just to keep me busy," and I said, "Roy, I got a thing for you, Lily and Wepawet." And to me, I go, how crazy would it be for Brian Ball, who does Wolf and Betsy, to do Lily and Wepawet, right? It's super cool. Now, on his side, he kind of goes, well, Emma, I'm kind of it's very similar to what I already do. I said, yes, but for readers, I think for fans of Wolf and Betsy and Saving the World, seeing him draw.
Yeah, I agree.
Like me write it and him draw it, it's kind of a mindfuck type thing. Like, what? That's crazy. And so, and me and him are going to work on other projects too. But this is the first
I'm
one.
trying to. I would like to work with Brian. He expressed interest in working with me, but he. It's funny because everything I offered him, he's like, "That's very similar to Wolf and Betsy." I'm like, he's the monster guy,
right?
So, he doesn't really like superheroes, so I'm trying to think of something that would be, and I don't want to just make up something just to give it to somebody. You know what I mean? It has to, yeah. And
so, which actually, I think I have the project for all of us, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, cool.
So, so yeah, him working on that, I gave him the script, and he's been working on it. He's got several pages done and all this.
Yeah, he's a professional. He'll be on time. He is years of animation. He's a machine.
Yeah, and I
asked him for a commission, and it was like, done and like, oh yeah, I'm finished. I'm mailing it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and his commissions are open right now. If anybody wants to, to uh, hire or commission, whatever the correct word is, Brian Bow, excellent.
Yeah, and
he made the wall. Tonicmole made the wall. In my back room.
yeah, and Monk is similar. Like I abuse him because I'll forget something, or like with Saving the World, or with On Call Heroes #2, which is funding right now on Kickstarter. I was like, we had all the covers, but we didn't have a real poppy Pojo the Clown cover, and I had intended to. And I was going to do it, and then I was like, I had the idea of Mayo Mayhem, and so I did that instead. And he'd already done her on the couch, and I was like, no, we're missing it. It don't feel like these are all the covers we should have. So I think it was like a week ago I said, dude, can you draw a really cool Pojo the Clown really fast? And so he got it done. And it's far from the first time I ever said, how quickly could you possibly draw something? Because
this is all you guys right here. So like this first one, I can't pronounce his name. This is Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob Sebesta.
Sebesti, I couldn't pronounce his name. And then that's Eating the Burger. That's Jacob. And then over here, the Pojo, not Pogo the Clown. That's somebody a little different.
Yeah.
Pojo the Clown winking at us. That's Tonicmole. And then this is down here in the bikini. Who's this? Who's the artist on this?
Oh, that is Monk.
That's also Monk. That's also.
And
then your art over here, the green shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 great artists. I mean, every one of these is good for different reasons.
And I'm probably going to have, my color was okay on my cover, but I'll probably have my wife do it. She's a much better colorist than I am. And so I'll probably have her do the colors. They'll be pretty much the same. She's much better at shading and like highlights and stuff than I am. I'm famously a black and white artist. I say that, but I technically am not. Like I almost entirely draw in black and white, but like if you defined my art, it would be color art in that I don't do cross hatching. I don't do shading. The only shading I do is in a gray shade and stuff. But my art is like a true black and white artist. Lots of shadow and I would say Jacob Sebesta is a more like what you would classify as a classic black and white artist, to where he uses all the shading and lines and cross hatching and that type of stuff to create shadow and depth. Whereas a mainstream like color artist, they don't. They leave that for the colors to do. My art technically does the same thing. I leave that for the colors to do, but then I don't color it. but I like I suppose in a way it makes it stand out. That
would you be opposed to the idea of like reissuing everything in color at some point?
Yeah, I've considered it and just never got around to it. I would have to. I'd have to, for one thing, most issues would be easy after issue 4 or 5. The first few issues, I probably don't have just the line art. So I was smashing the line art down with the gray shading and stuff like that. And so it'd be tricky to color them well, but possible. And so I've certainly considered it, though. I just haven't got around to it. And
this is Tonicmole drawing Lily and Wapwet. Yeah, I just love the whole Egyptian theme, and I just find these fat characters so fascinating.
Yeah, and I hope my next few issues of Saving the World, I'm going to focus on projects with other creators for at least the next few months. I'm hoping to kind of just stay afloat with like projects like this, and I have another artist. I'm just going to publish his work. He wrote it and drew it and everything, and I'm just the publisher. And then there's the Lillian Wep Wet project, and and I just started. If you got anybody who's read the past five or so, I can't even remember when anyways, Allie Ann. It's a complete side story, not really connected to saving the world, but it's about this sexy alien girl, and she's on a ship with a bunch of gray aliens, and they clone new gray aliens to fill out their population, but something goes wrong, and the cloning machine outputs a gray alien, but with a curvy woman's body, and that's the basically setup of Allie Ann, and it's sci-fi comedy, but pretty heavy comedy. I'd written the script probably in 2017 or 2018, a long time ago, but I loved the script. It was so damn funny. But I was doing Saving the World, and so what I ended up doing was I was like, okay, I have this full script for a full issue. What if I condense some of the ideas into just comic strips? And then I put those in the back of Saving the World. So I think there's only been 2 comic strips, but in Saving the World about Allie Ann. But I got to introduce the character and kind of go, well, that's something. If we'll see if I get around to it. Well, then Zombie Ernie, who has done a lot of covers, and he does the chibi stickers, and he's done a ton of covers. We worked together a lot. I asked him, I was like, I've had this script, and I don't know why I didn't think about it. Because the script is, once I pictured his art with the script made a whole lot more sense. I was like, no, he was obviously the person to draw this the whole time. So that's what we're currently working together. So we'll have an issue of, it might be like a one-shot. We'll see how, if he has fun doing it and is like, oh, this is a good idea, I want to keep going, I got more scripts and stuff, so we'll continue it as a series. But after the debacle of Red Sirens, which I'm hard at work getting completed, and it's late, it's a shame, but I was like, I can only draw so much. And because I can draw a lot, but I can't publish, ship, promote, write multiple series, then also draw an extra series. I pushed myself until I was like, oh, that was one too far. And so that's why, I want to focus on other people's projects. So there'll still be Saving the World content and tons of little side things, but I'm going to try to hold off on Saving the World number 13 till later this year or early next year or something.
Yeah, you keep kicking yourself over Red Sirens, but I don't hear anybody complaining or anything.
No, nobody. They might say, "Hey, how's progress?" No, nobody is being mean to me at all.
Well, because one late project out of 15, and unlike me, you're not causing any problems on the internet. You're not making any fights. You're just delivering and everybody's happy. You do have like a pretty chill fan base,
No, super more, way more than I deserve. They're because one guy, I'll have somebody say something, and on Twitter, oh, hey, well, is this still funding? I go, no, that wrapped or something. They go, I didn't mean to sound like I was, and I was like, no. Nobody's ever been mean to me, but they could totally be mean to me if they wanted. Because Red Sirens,
you kind of get what you put out, and you put out good, fun, chill vibe. I need to, like I said, you're the Kickstarter guru or crowdfunding guru. I got to start listening to you. I specifically asked him for advice, and then specifically ignored it, and then specifically regretted it.
Well, one cool thing that you and a few other guys did that I was like, I don't know. I love Fund My Comic. I love the idea and what their mission is, but I'm too poor to take the risk, right? It's all I do.
No, you're doing the right thing. Your fan base is on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But what I would do is when Kickstarter's over, so you're not competing, here I am giving you advice, and I'm saying you're the guy. I would do a secondary campaign
Right.
on my comic.
And I do, and I've done a
It's not
few.
going to cost you anything, and even if you get 10 backers, that's 10 more backers.
Yeah, and I've crowdfunded on um, Fund My Comic, so I do that to some degree. Every once in a while, I'll take the comic and then put it on there. But you guys had huge success on Fund My Comic, so I think that more people who, because it's kind of like where you launch, and so since I started on Kickstarter, all my fan base has just become so ingrained with Kickstarter
Right.
that for some reason it does seem like a crowdfunded comic people, they bring the customers to the platform, not, oh, I went to this platform and there was an installed base. That don't seem to be accurate, because I whenever I do Kickstarter, I tried Indiegogo and I tried Fund My Comic, and I didn't get much traction at all. So it wasn't like there was these installed bases anywhere that showed up. It very much seems like we promote and get our people and bring them to the platforms, which makes you question why you're getting, and that's part Kickstarter charges me an arm and a leg. It can be one thing that other, like, people that just back comics and don't run them.
Yeah, Kickstarter's the most expensive.
Yeah, it can be $700 to $800 out of your campaign goes to paying Kickstarter, and so there's a huge chunk just taken out before you even. They're getting a percentage of your shipping, even, right? It's not just off of the thing.
Right.
And if I could get all of my customers to go to Fund My Comic, I would do it so fast the head would spin. I just haven't figured out how to do it, but I'm working on it.
I mean,
and,
do you think do you have like an email list of all of them?
Yeah, and I haven't figured out why I can't get anybody. I even now, knock on wood, I don't know. I think what I'll need to do is launch a comic first on Fund My Comic.
Okay, I see.
I had tried the opposite, where I was like, it was something with Kickstarter. Maybe I was finishing up a project, or oh no, I know what it was. I did a variant cover that was exclusive to Indiegogo, and nothing.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I messed up. I had one cover on Fund My Comic, a different cover on Kickstarter, and a third cover on Indiegogo. And people messaged me, "Is like, I would like to get all three, but that's $30 in shipping."
Right.
And I was like, oh. So yeah. As each campaign ended, I imported it over to
right.
But by then, we all understand it's impulse.
Right, right.
Why did this light off? Did my light just break?
I've given Indiegogo a ton of chances, but launching earlier. Oh, there was one. It was just Indiegogo. I could launch earlier. So it launched like 5 days earlier. And I basically had like 2 backers for those 5 days. And then the first day of Kickstarter, I had 120. And so, yeah, I gave Indiegogo the chance, and it just did not work.
Yeah, I didn't like Indiegogo. I found it difficult to work with.
Yeah.
I found it was hard to figure out what people actually bought.
Right.
And then they shadow banned me, and then I only got 10 backers anyway. So
yeah,
I'll work with, now that GameFind has bought them, and I just talked with Rini. I can't pronounce her last name, who does Fiendish, and she says, excuse me, that she got like emails from the new people already, and you know, like, that's amazing. Now there's actual humans. I was convinced that Indiegogo was just like one guy who just turned on a robot and went to work, because they never responded to anything. So I'll give them a try my next campaign.
Yeah, they
times with friends. That's Edwin. How you doing, Edwin? Good to see you. Good to see you, Marcus.
Yeah, they their biggest problem, they didn't update their platform for almost the whole time I was on there. Well, whereas Kickstarter, they're frequently updating, and now they have all the features Indiegogo had, but now combined with their own, so you can do the
plus they got the name recognition.
Right. Yeah, and I have so much problem with Indiegogo for random stuff that
Hey,
yeah,
Edward, this guy's a
and
great artist too. I'm looking forward for when he crowdfunds. He's so talented, so talented. Edward, good to see you. What I like what you were saying. Like I've out of the three platforms,
yeah,
I've went to fund my comic to look for somebody, and then saw something else and also backed other people.
yeah,
I've never did that on Kickstarter, and I never did that on Indiegogo.
right,
But fund my comic, when you just go there, there's a whole page of cool looking comic book covers. Oh,
right.
look at that, look at that. But you go to Kickstarter, you know, it's not a comic book site. So like I'm looking at some robotic bird feeder that I could give to
That's
you
right.
know, you know.
That's
Or I
the
click on comic books and it's just some like she's a lesbian who doesn't have a bicycle.
yeah. Oh, how sad.
That's so sad that she doesn't have a bicycle.
Yeah, no, that's very accurate. And so, yeah, if I that my goal is to move slowly, figure a way to jump over to fund my comic. I haven't totally figured it out yet, but that's what I need to do
I
because of for one thing, it feels like I've never had trouble on Kickstarter, but there's um, always that concern uh, that in the future I could, but and it's a moral thing. Fund My Comic is just more on our side than anybody
right.
else.
For those of you who don't know, I always treat every video as people's first video. First off, welcome. Second off, it's run by Luke Stone, who is just a cool guy.
Yeah,
Like we know the guy who runs it. I don't know the
right,
guy who runs Kickstarter. I don't know the guy who runs Indiegogo, but I know the guy who runs Fund My Comic. I have his phone number.
right.
And I totally screwed up the right before launching, and he fixed it. I told the story a million times. I'm freaking out, yelling and freaking out, and being really a jerk. And Luke's just like, it's okay, John. I'm like, what are you giving me small talk for? He's like, because it's fixed. It's fixed. How are you? I'm like, oh, it's fixed. You know what I mean? Like he's just a cool guy.
Yeah,
To the point, like we chit chat. You know what I mean? Like I don't chit chat with the guys at Fund My. At Kickstarter. He's a comic book fan. He draws comics. He plays music. He's one of us.
exact same thing happened to me when I think it was
Hey,
number
Illustrator.
9. Hello, Illustrator Monk.
Why get to work? Tonic was saying that you're way behind on all of the assignments that he gave you.
Yeah.
He gave you permission to look at the computer.
No, so the same thing happened to me with issue number 9 when I was funding it. I messed up something. I didn't know what the heck was going on, and I just DM'd him on Twitter saying, "Help me!" And he fixed it and all that. You can't do that, obviously, with Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Right.
For one thing, there's no one person you could actually contact.
Right.
There's just a
the
bunch
longest time Indiegogo, you wouldn't even get a response from anybody. Like
Oh,
I
no.
was impressed that Rini said that she got like emails within an hour.
Right.
I mean, in defense of Indiegogo, they're now being bought out by GameFound. I don't know if the sale is complete, but I'm a board gamer, as you can see. I got board games behind me, and GameFound is a board game company first. All the board games are on Kickstarter, and then they started to migrate towards GameFound. And those guys I played games with because I used to go to the Dice Tower board game convention up until COVID. I went like 5 or 6 times, and I got friendly with one guy who introduced me. So I met those. They're real people. I'm assuming it's the same people.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to go back now that there's a change of management, because who knows? It was like a Bond villain that ran it. Why Shadowban? You could work in this flea market, but behind the curtain, and nobody knows what you're selling.
Yeah.
But you'd still pay for us.
John, have you saw Superman?
Yeah.
We should do a little movie segment because that's fun. Oh,
Okay.
Have you seen Fantastic Four?
Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. We should do 2 segments.
Okay.
But, well, no, we'll do 1 movie segment. It'll be movies with John and Tonic. Wait, was it what I had this idea for me and you to do a show.
Yeah, I think let's see if it might be in our DMs, but we mentioned it to me before. That would be fun.
maybe it was John and Tonic because I thought it sounded. Oh yeah, it's John and Tonic because it kind of sounds
Yes,
like.
it sounded like gin and tonic.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we should do an impromptu our first episode of John and Tonic on movies.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to John and Tonic at the movies. How you doing?
Hey guys, thank you for stopping into our new show. So, John, let's start with James Gunn's Superman.
It's funny because that movie is like so controversial. Like people either love it or people hate it. There is no lukewarm. I really liked it. And I've been getting attacked for liking. I mean, friendly attack. Nobody's been nasty about it, but they're just like, you like it? It was stupid. In my defense, I totally lowered my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
My expectations were not just on the floor; they were stuck to the floor with glue.
Yeah.
So I really, but my only expectation was, okay, people told me it wasn't preachy. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Superman is my favorite comic book character, so I went to go see the movie, and that movie was an issue of the '90s Wahaha Justice League.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. Other people have pointed out stuff that now that the emotion is what I could see how that might have been interpreted as woke. But the bottom line is, like, they were like, oh, it was Israel and Palestine and, politics, the main war.
Okay.
And I just interpreted it as this was a war that was instigated by Lex Luthor. Of course, Superman got involved to stop the war instigated by a supervillain.
Now, I'd also point out that it's literally impossible for that movie had to been about, like, intentionally about that, because it was done filming before October 7th even happened.
Oh, okay. Good point.
James Gunn would have had to been a psychic. What it was?
Oh, he was in on it. He was in. They're all Hollywood.
Right. He's the planner of Hamas. No, it was clearly supposed to be, and this is when you're dabbling in real world politics, time flies. It was Ukraine and Russia, right? So it was supposed to be that, but by the time it comes out, context changes. It looks like James Gunn's a Hamas supporter.
Right.
So that's why you never dabble with that. Now, and I've been, I'm certainly one of the biggest people who get infuriated with, like, woke stuff in movies. However, having said that, at the same time, I see people going way too far with anything and everything that slightly offends them.
Right. If you have a girl like Lois Lane started flying the T-sphere or whatever, the saucer. Right. Oh, she's a Mary Sue because all of a sudden she's a pilot. It's like, no,
she flew it badly.
It's super easy. Even John's Longbox could drive it.
Right. Know? And she crashes it. Like, she's terrible at driving it. That's the whole joke.
So she was. It was like they were like, oh, Superman was always on the ropes. He was always, but this is Lex Luthor. This is Doctor Doom versus the Fantastic Four. This is their main villain. Like, name a bigger, longer lasting villain than Lex Luthor. He at the beginning of the movie, it was understood he was planning this for 3 years,
right,
and then launched this attack and kept Superman on the with weaknesses that were established in the comic book continuity.
Right. Now,
so, I didn't want to, like, as much as a Superman fan I am, I didn't want to see Superman just casually going through and defeating everything. I wanted to see struggle. I really, really liked it.
Now, I can be the negative Nancy on this, though.
Yeah, there's a lot now that my emotions have gone through. I can see it.
The first time I saw it, I was ironically lukewarm, where I was like, it's okay. It wasn't as, like, I didn't think it was as well crafted as Man of Steel, but Man of Steel had these moments that were so divisive that it was really hard to enjoy it for what it was. This didn't have that, but
Man of Steel, to me, committed two fundamental sins as far as Superman.
Yeah.
The number one sin is Superman would have saved his father. Superman's father wouldn't have reprimanded him for saving the children. He would have been like, I guess the cat's out of the bag. We'll deal with it, Clark, because we're good people. And the second biggest sin is they fundamentally forgot that Superman is a character for children.
Right.
The Man
Now,
of Steel was not made for 9-year-old
yeah.
boys. You know what I mean? Like, whereas this movie, I was watching, there was a whole row of children sat next to my wife, and me and my wife
Yeah.
were like, oh, this is going to suck. But they were like,
Yeah. Well, see, okay,
and people gave me shit when I said that. Superman is a child's character.
it is. It's the most absurdly for children. He's a guy in a blue and red leotard with a giant S on his chest whose superpowers are don't worry about it. Of course, it's really hard. Superman works when he's being written for children, right? And
Well, it's all, when I say it's for all ages, like I didn't say it should be for children. It should be, children should be considered when writing a Superman. It's one of the reasons why as far away as we get from the Batman movies, the Nolan Batman movies, I like them less and less. Batman is supposed to be for children. Now, Batman, you could make Batman a little bit more scary. You could up the stakes with Batman, just because but he's not supposed to be 7 or you know.
See, I would disagree, kind of. When it comes to Batman, I think like the Batman hit the tone a little better because it's dark and gothic, whereas the Dark Knight trilogy was a little, I mean, it wasn't realistic, but it felt like a more realistic world, whereas the Batman felt a little bit like Tim Burton's, right? So yes, it's dark and gritty.
Out of all the Batman movies, including Tim Burton, I liked the Batman the best.
Yeah, well,
Gotham City looked like the comic book. There was like just like for no reason at all. There was like purple, and he kind of emphasized like comic book colors, but it wasn't like that atrocious fluorescent one that
the neon lights of Batman Forever. Yeah.
But
I agree.
The tone was off. That was basically 7. That was a serial killer. You know what I mean. So they forgot it was for children, but I still enjoyed it. But overall, there's never been a good Batman movie, in my opinion.
Well, see, I grew up with, my first comic was the Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle. They were very dark,
right?
And they fit the Batman pretty close, except for the mech suit armor that they are addicted to.
That was what. He's Iron Man. If you're standing in the hallway and everybody's shooting you with machine guns, you're Iron Man.
Right. He's and it's funny that people don't realize that Batman and gadgets are a live action trope that have nothing to do with the comics. In all of my time of reading Batman comics, his only gadget for up until like the mid to late 90s was a batarang with a rope tied to it.
Right.
That was his big gadget that he used. Otherwise, it was, I'm a detective. He has the computer in the Batmobile. And he's a detective with a boomerang. Okay, now, I understand why you have to get rid of the boomerang on a rope, because that makes no sense within any world of physics whatsoever, because the rope would wrap around the boomerang as it spun.
Right.
Fair enough, but the movies went. It's funny. The 66 TV show used gadgets as MacGuffins, right? What's Batman going to do? Have a random gadget in his belt, and they just overused that. Ironically, when they went dark with the Tim Burton movies and on, they said, "Yeah, but what if he has a gadget for everything?" Well, that's not a thing he does. That's not a Batman thing. He's the perfect human. He's the smartest and strongest and most athletic human, but he's just a human. And no, he didn't devise it. He has a car that's cool, but so they went over. The Batman, though, kind of brought it down to where, yes, he had gadgets, but they worked terribly, which I loved. I loved the freaking wingsuit scene where he's like, let's try this out. Zip. And he jumps off the building and hits the thing and just bites ass. I loved that. His suit is maybe one of my more favorites because the mask and the neck and stuff is more okay. His silhouette and he looks like Batman.
He looked most like Batman.
Yeah.
You know what scene I absolutely hated, because as a commuter who drives an hour to work and an hour home on the Long Island Expressway, I watched Batman chase the Penguin as fuel trucks are tumbling over, exploding, just killing some poor schmuck who's some steam fritters coming home from overtime, exhausted, just worked a 12-hour shift, and now his car explodes, and then he grabs the Penguin and then lets him go.
Right.
You know, Batman would have shot a tracer on his car, left, and then showed up when the car stopped moving or something. You know what I mean?
You know, that would have been a better idea than drive, but not nearly as cool as when that Batmobile launched through the flames.
The whole movie I'm watching this, I'm like, that guy in the station wagon just died. That woman is just going to get some milk. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or an hour later, Meek is on the Long Island Expressway going, I hate this Batman. When are the cops going to take this troublemaker out? I'm just trying to go home. Joker never did nothing to me.
It's getting harder for me to. Okay, now this actually comes back to Superman. So my first time, I was like, okay, there's some plot holes. Some of it didn't make sense to me at all. Like, Superman can move faster than the speed of sound, even in this iteration. Yet, Lex Luthor can say a number, K12, and it go to a radio headset to the Ultraman, and he can react faster than Superman can move.
Right.
Faster than the speed of sound.
It's funny. You have a nitpick with that. This is my nerdy nitpick with that. When Superman started whistling for Krypto, it went through the Ultraman's headphones, and then the sound came out of Lex Luthor's headquarters. Krypto should have went to Lex Luthor and messed everything up. How did Krypto know?
Oh.
Because it converted to a radio signal that's not sound. You know what I mean?
Right. And then when
that would have been funny, because that would have been Superman using his brain. But I really like that Lex Luthor just could not accept that Superman was smart. He was like, this guy's a jock. This guy's, and then when Superman started using cool techniques, I really appreciated that. I thought that was, yes, there's a lot to make fun of. The whole signal with his parents, I still don't believe that. I still believe that's a hoax.
See, I was kind of okay with that because I saw that as a good message to kids, possibly. So,
don't trust your parents, kids.
No. Because Superman's parents are John and Martha Kent.
Right.
That's who his parents are. He never really met or knew these aliens.
You know, it's funny that you said that. That always bothered me that John and Martha Kent raised this guy. How many bruises did they get when he was a little baby who couldn't control his strength? How many things did they break? And then he grows up and he wants to be with Jor-El and he misses Krypton. It's like an adopted kid that turns 19 years old and is just like, I want to go find out who my real parents are. Oh, you mean the drug addict who gave you up?
Right, exactly, dude. That's exactly. So that to where Superman has been idolizing these people who put him in a rocket and it's not like he's mean or doesn't like, but the movie starts with him. He's comforted by these aliens that he's never known. And then in the end, it's his real parents.
That's like every little girl thinks that, what dad yells at them. So like, I'm really a princess that I'm going to turn 18 and my real parent, it's a fan. I didn't think of that. That's a good.
And so I really thought that because me personally, I don't see how really his like Krypton. There's a few things. Okay. There's more of these nitpicks. Like, okay, Supergirl's older. She was a teenager. Did she know that Krypton is kind of full of psychopaths? And what is this? Maybe why she's a drunk? I don't know.
Oh,
but
there you go.
And so there was little nitpicks like that. Though I would say, I was like, I loved the cast. I thought he was an amazing Superman and Clark Kent.
Yeah, I was really what's the word, trepidatious about him, but
Yeah,
he won
yeah.
me over. And I didn't realize he's physically a big guy.
Oh yeah, he's
He's
as
got like a
tall.
boyish, he's got a boyish face,
Yeah,
so I didn't think he was that big.
yeah. He's. I think he's 6'4", so he's as tall as Henry Cavill. He's not as bulked as Henry Cavill, but he pulls off a Superman.
I
And
love Lois Lane,
yeah, she was a great Lois Lane, and
and
the
he was
Jimmy
the
Olsen.
best Lex Luthor. I mean, no disrespect to Gene Hackman, but the scary real estate
Yeah,
agent never really like this was
but
a menace.
yeah, he was a weird. Of course, the Lex Luthor we know today didn't really exist in when they made that first movie. You
Right.
know, he wasn't the. So they did this thing. They were like, "Boy, this character's all over the place. Let's do this." Right, and it fits with what they had back then.
Well, that
Whereas,
movie, I say this because I always had problems with the first Superman movie because I'm a nitpicker, but that movie was exactly what was necessary at the
yeah,
time. It took comic books that people really we forget because you know you're young, but comic books were trash that you snuck
right,
home. My parents didn't mind because I was a bad reader and I only became a good reader because of comics, so they gave me
right.
that special dispensation. But comic book teachers didn't want you to see them; that they were garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie kind of legitimized comic books. So,
Mm-hmm.
plus it was a good movie. The critics liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It showed everybody in the world that you can make a good movie based on these worthless pamphlets that are going to
Right.
turn you into a juvenile delinquent.
And not only did it show you could adapt these, but it showed you could adapt them very close to the source material. Like he was the comic book
Right?
Superman. They didn't do anything weird. Now, okay, as for the James Gunn Superman, when I went and saw it the second time, I thought to myself, this is a Saturday morning cartoon.
Right.
When I went and watched it as if I was watching, I love the some of the 80s cartoons, especially Ninja Turtles, because that was, a big deal for me. When I watched the first 3 episodes of Ninja Turtles, I'm like, it's the music and the dialogue. Everything about those first few episodes hits so hard and perfect, even though it's absurdity. When I watched it through the lens of this is for kids, not for me, I can enjoy it or I can walk, I really enjoyed it. I didn't nitpick it because it's kids don't care.
Right.
And I could nitpick that movie to no
Oh, I
end.
could nitpick
But
any. Like I still nitpick the Donner film. Like, oh, Superman can time travel when his girlfriend dies, but when Phil Moskowitz dies, he doesn't care. Stuff like that.
right. Oh, now and okay. However, I did feel that a lot of Superman's supporting cast was so good, um, and underutilized. To where I go, was it a good idea to have the Justice Gang take screen time away from Superman characters? A lot of the plot had to fast forward, where it's take our word for it. Lex has been doing this for a long time. I would have liked to have seen that
Yeah.
instead of being told it. A lot of exposition dumps, but if you watch any cartoon that we hail as freaking masterpieces, lots of exposition dumps because they're for kids. They need to get to the action. The kid's going to get bored and walk away.
Mr. Terrific was outstanding. I liked
Excellent.
Guy Gardner was right out of the comic. If you like the
Yeah,
character, a Hawk Girl was a little annoying. I thought she was pleasant to look at. She was a good curvy girl.
yeah.
I like the wings, but the extreme close-ups that made everybody look wall-eyed, I could do without that.
I loved like some of the Superman flying was a little more dynamic, um, with all their crazy camera work. The Hot Girl, it did not work when she's screaming into the camera. I
Right,
didn't understand what she was supposed to be doing. Like she's not the Banshee.
right.
I
He
mean, I
doesn't have
don't.
sonic powers. And
Right, she
Hawks
don't.
do Hawks scream? Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know.
A real hawk, yeah, they go caca type thing. So
Okay.
yes, except does Hawk Girl and Hawkman scream? I
Yeah,
don't believe.
they don't.
I don't think so.
Did you
So
pick
I
this up?
didn't understand what that was all about.
I said this, and a few people I could see your point, but I think either they're just humoring me. But Did you pick up that Darkseid is behind everything?
Yeah, my wife says yes.
Yeah, because those tubes were boom tubes, like in a
Right,
primitive way. And
right,
then Mr. Terrific had those two big boxes. Those were mother boxes,
right.
you know. And
That,
like I don't believe that Lex Luthor just created a whole extra dimension. Like, and then the Raptors look like parademons.
mhm.
You know,
If
I thought this there was. We're gonna find out in the second movie that Darkseid is behind it all. And then
I
once I accepted Darkseid, I'm like, Darkseid can fabricate a message that could trick Mr. Terrific. He's
oh
Darkseid.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Now, if they come out, well, this is true too. They had 2 hours, but they still moved at the speed of a. If Darkseid's behind everything, my wife says yes. I was like, I don't know. I think it's not super intentional, but I get what you're talking about. It looks like there's mother boxes everywhere and
Right.
boom tubes and all this. She says but she's like, I feel like it's Darkseid.
Yeah, me too. I
And
can't prove it.
and
But
but it would actually make that movie much better to say, okay, yes, you're probably thinking Lex Luthor couldn't have devised all of this. He's smart, but we're talking interdimensional
right.
travel. That's a little beyond his scope. Um, but if it was Darkseid, oh, then I'm super invested. Um, and I'm not even a huge Darkseid fan, but I like the concept of this nefarious background, which is almost guaranteed because he's trying to recreate the MCU. The MCU, everything was secretly Thanos the whole time. It would make sense that everything's secretly Darkseid.
A few
Um,
things I didn't like Lex Luthor shooting that guy. That was just
yeah,
tonally off for the movie. That was disturbing for kids. That was
my
disturbing.
wife, my wife was 100%. She didn't really like it. Um, like the movie, and that was her number one complaint. It's so kid friendly, and then to have something that violent and jarring for seemingly no apparent reason felt like, why would you do that when you had a pretty good kids movie, except for that little section,
Like he should
that
have just punched him in the face.
right.
Yeah,
They could have.
that
There,
really for a minute I was just like, nope, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. That shouldn't have
right.
been the movie.
And now my biggest complaint is that's not really addressed. It is just how it is. My favorite thing about Superman movies is, okay, so Superman in all the Christopher Reeves movies and in Superman Returns, and I believe probably, yeah, pretty much in the Man of Steel, Superman has these weaknesses, and it's usually kryptonite, except for in the Man of Steel things, or in the, yeah, Man of Steel. But it's usually kryptonite, and they like shoot him with a kryptonite bullet or put a kryptonite necklace on him. And that at first he's like, I can't hardly move, and then he summons this inner gumption. It's not his superpowers; it's his sheer willpower for justice, and he does something insane. Superman Returns wasn't a great movie, but the coolest thing is he gets shot by a kryptonite bullet, is basically dying, and says, "Not today, Chief," and lifts a continent. Right? I go, hell yeah. I love when Superman, all of his weaknesses are being attacked, and he still summons this strength from within. That is always my favorite thing. And it's my favorite thing in any movie when the hero, it ain't gonna work, everything's gone wrong, and they summon this inner strength and rise up. This one just didn't have that. Like Superman never felt like he's down and out, and then he rises and does something amazing. I would have loved to that, but I mean that is a very mild nitpick in a way, because overall, no, I think the cast is great, and so I'm very interested in the future movies.
I liked what they did with Miss Tessmacher. I thought that was brilliant. That she was
Who's
doing
that?
the Lex Luthor's hot girlfriend.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's going around taking selfies. Instantly, my wife is like, "These people are detestable." Like, they're laughing at Superman getting hurt, and Miss Taskmaster is making selfies.
Right.
My wife, she just goes, they're detestable. And right away, like we wanted them to blow up, you know? And
Right.
then you find out that she's playing up the stupid girl, and she's
Right.
you know, that was brilliant. That completely took me by surprise. And here, I already told you my that gunshot was just, but Jimmy Olsen's so unlikable now. He's a jerk.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Like they need him. Like all of the women are just ogling him. Like
Right.
he wasn't particularly good looking. And then all I could think of is in the second movie they're going to reveal that he's gay.
Okay.
I don't care who you are. You can't spend a weekend with that Miss Tessmacher. You know, Miss Hungry 19. What's
Now,
you know what I mean?
okay, here's my takeaway on Jimmy Olsen. I have read Superman's Best Friend, Jimmy Olsen, and this is, I think, what James Gunn's franchise is going to be the biggest strength of it. That kid can carry a show. He's a big enough actor that he could have his own TV show of Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, nothing against the actor.
Yeah, well, but Jimmy Olsen in the cartoons and stuff is always this redheaded uber nerd.
Right.
But in the comic books, he's not exactly. He's not Superman, but he's Archie from Archie Comics, right? Who Archie is the quarterback and the coolest guy ever. So I kind of go, I mean, honestly, this kind of fits with his more historic, like, you know, modern times, everything's homogenized and he's the redheaded nerd in glasses. But in Superman's best pal, Jimmy Olsen, he was always getting himself into he wasn't this bumbling nerd necessarily. I mean, he wasn't as cool as Superman, but who is? So I kind of go, well, this sets up a Jimmy Olsen that can be more like the 80s. Kirby depicted Jimmy as a man of action. Exactly. He could be that on his solo deals. Now, I will agree, there was tons of Gunnisms to where he's going for a joke over narrative, over the plot, you know. The monkeys at typewriters. Clearly, Lex Luthor would have just an AI that is typing, you know, sending out these messages. But he wanted a joke that's kind of satire about monkeys at computers. It was a little jarring with the context of, wait, he has a bunch of these. Why? That's insane.
Yeah, how does but then I'm like, how does he feed them? How do they clean up? Why isn't there poop everywhere?
He think it's funny. It's like, okay, you have plenty of jokes. You didn't need to add. So I have that little problem though. Hey, if little kids go, haha, monkeys, he wins. I lose. It's not for me.
But that's yeah. See, that didn't bother me. Literally because the kids sitting next to me, they all giggled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. But
the
57-year-old man who shouldn't be at the movies without kids, you know, is going, this monkey, you know. So yes, you're absolutely right.
100%. Kid wins, because I have my Superman. I was watching the first Superman with a towel around my neck, jumping off the couch.
Oh, I got a picture of me with my underwear on over my pants, and and I thought I looked like Superman. I look like a chubby jerk, you know what I mean? But
he could feel the power
choking me.
Mm-hmm. And so, kind of like when Crypto grabs Lex Luthor and beats the living shit out of him, the kids were rolling in the aisles at the theater I was in.
Right.
And I was like, this is good, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Because comic books and comic book movies have been neglecting kids.
Yeah, and
I got skewered on Twitter for saying that I like this movie because they remembered that Superman is a children's IP.
Yeah.
Now all the 45-year-old comic book fans got mad at me, but I'm not wrong. Superman is fundamentally for kids. Now I'm not saying I'm an adult. Obviously, I love Superman. Mm-hmm. You know, but
and I think
got to keep that in mind. Like if you make a Scooby-Doo movie, and it's like 7, you know, what's in the box, you know, and
right.
then you forget that's not Scooby Doo is it, it's
Right.
Batman,
That's why we like
get away
it.
more with Batman, but I think like a Batman movie, like we forget even in those Norm Bradfocal comics that you were talking about that we love, when he went to the Batcave, there was a giant penny, there was a giant dinosaur. That was stuff kids liked.
Which I hope the Batman, because the thing I liked about the Batman was it had more comic stuff in it than previous movies ever had. Like
Yes.
when he gets the syringe out with the green stuff and I go, that's freaking Venom.
Right.
That's crazy.
And
so
he was a detective. He had to solve a crime. You know what I mean? The cat girl. Oh my God, she looked like a drawing. She looked like a tower. I remember when she was sashaying. They showed him from the rear, and I just said to my wife, "I'm like, what a figure!"
And when she goes undercover to confront her father, and she gets her wig knocked off, and she has the short hair and is wearing the outfit from Batman Year One.
Right.
I was like, excellent.
Right.
And so
you know what one of my bizarre nitpicks was? Andy Serkis as Alfred, he was too ripped.
Oh yeah.
He was walking out, and he's like, "Oh, he's ripped." I'm like, this guy's not going to be in danger. Like,
we'll see. Yeah, there's so many different Alfreds that. Right. So there's Fat Alfred, which was the very, very original, but lasted very long, or didn't last very long. Then there's the thin English butler that probably lasted the most and definitely has been adapted the most. But then throughout the late 80s and 90s, they kept him looking like the thin English butler, but they had to justify how Bruce Wayne.
He was an ex-SAS guy or
right.
Yeah.
And there's issues to where it shows him shirtless for some reason, and the dude is ripped because he's ex-military and he's Secret Service, all this type of stuff. British police type stuff. So, then as we get into more modern times, they militarized him more and more, saying, well, that's why he joins Bruce Wayne in this. It's all he knows too. He wasn't really a butler per se.
He wasn't the guy polishing the silverware,
Right. He was security. Right. And that's what this movie goes with is, it's hard to justify a butler just hanging around as this happens. So they say he was hired as security and failed, and so he's as driven as Bruce Wayne because they both feel like they failed. And that worked for me. Okay, so
you give me a lot of good stuff to think about. I never thought about that as Alfred hired as security. That's
right.
That's something cool to think about.
Superman is a good setup. I think it'll be really hard to introduce us, because everybody goes, well, the Batman doesn't fit tonally, and I'm like, well, Batman should never fit tonally with Superman. It's the whole point when they're together is that Batman is so different than Superman, and to do that in live action, DC Comics, unlike Marvel, I mean, almost entirely everything they have was Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, 4 or 5 guys tops, created. Everything else is a derivative of what they didn't create Venom. Yeah, but they created Spider-Man, and Venom is just a derivative.
Right.
So there was one seed that bloomed all of Marvel, and that's why it's so cohesive. DC, not remotely. So you had...
There were literally like 4 or 5 companies that merged together.
Right. You have Bob Kane and Bill Finger stealing from the Shadow, but still, with the Batman. You have Joel Siegel and the other guy, I forget his name.
Siegel and Schuster.
Doing Superman completely separate. And then you have a college professor doing a thought experiment with his 2 wives creating Wonder Woman. These are the most 3 diverse groups of people you could imagine, not working together at all. but they create this legendary IP that becomes the Holy Trinity. And then DC Comics goes, how do we put these pieces together? And come to find out, when you just force them together, chaos happens, and that's very entertaining. You have this brooding Batman who has no superpowers, but he's super smart and ahead of the game. Then you have Superman, who's a god, but then you have Wonder Woman, who's a warrior who doesn't really fit their moral idea of, she's more like, well, we defeat the enemy anyway. That's okay. I don't want to get off on another story. So anyways, so when I look at James Gunn's Superman, I go, no, I feel it needs the Batman next to him, because that's insane. Something so bright and poppy, which is what Superman's always supposed to be, next to something so dark, which is what Batman is supposed to be, you then go, how do we write these characters together? And I think that's what makes DC work.
I always say it's Apollo and Dionysus.
Right. Because if you have James Gunn say, okay, Batman, he's all like quirky and goofy and popping jokes, and then Robin shows up and goes, whatever, fam. No, you don't have Batman. You have a good Superman, now you have a bad Batman. And so you need someone else.
I would like as close to the animated series as possible.
Yeah, that is true.
Like you got to keep Batman. Remember that it's a children's property, so make it all ages. Like right. I don't want him like serial killer,
right.
Riddler. But I do want, like, he's serious. He could be the straight man to everybody else.
Right.
But
it just becomes so hard, because now that you're asking Hollywood, who has so far, well, not Hollywood, Warner Brothers, who has been incapable of doing the simplest things, thread the impossible needle of a live-action Batman animated series, which the animated series was threading the needle. It was just Bruce Timm and the writers were so on point with
Marvel couldn't even get a Blade movie. Dude, you just throw Wesley. You don't even need to write it. Just Wesley Snipes killing vampires.
Right.
And then after every scene, like, he goes home and cleans blood off his, waxes the swords. Somebody asks him a question, and then next thing you know, he's killing vampires again.
Going back at it. So, okay. So, yeah, I think Superman was a good start for the DCU. I liked that it was a kid's movie, which is this summer's whole theme. Because I went and saw, side note, I watched Superman twice. Liked it better the second time. If for an adult nitpicking it and saying, oh, I totally agree. However, I would argue that if a kid likes it, that's more important. Because
absolutely, I agree. We'll talk about the Fantastic Four next time, because I got it's clobbering time in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Good. Yeah. That's good, because I got a lot to say.
Yeah,
about Fantastic Four.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll definitely set that up. I like the idea. John and Tonic do talk about.
Yeah.
Because the Fantastic Four, I got a lot of guff. I got more guff for Superman than the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four people are like, it's all right. It's all right. So when I said I liked it, I didn't get that much. So you got on Kickstarter, On Call Heroes. I got everything you've ever put out. I recommend everything by Tonicmole. He's one of my favorite creators and one of my favorite comics. It's like you said, it's superheroes, but they're slackers.
Mm-hmm.
It's set in the 90s. You know what I mean? So it's like Wayne's World, not that Uber, but like that dress aesthetic. It's like grunge rock. Right.
I'm the counter to the whole comics are for kids. I go, oh yes, most of them, not mine.
Yeah. I got no problems with and you don't make any bones about it. Like, you let people know.
Yeah, I'm an underground comic book artist. It's
right,
just totally different genre.
Yeah. And it's funny because when Eddie is Doomed is comic books, but there's a couple of suggestive scenes in it that
it ain't for kids. It's depressing as hell.
Yeah. But I just love this. This is just a good representative of all your artists,
Yeah.
Yep. It's it's funny because you look at it, it's like, oh, big boobs, but it's a good story, and there's a dark thread. I get a feeling of menace. Like they're you know, they're just like stumbling through life, and you just like get your shit together. Something bad is happening.
Right. I hope that I get the time to fully realize it, because yeah, the intent has always been to distract with comedy and how much sexual stuff is like the boobies are in it, and so that the reader don't see it coming, that this is actually, there's some very dark themes and ideas, but you're not.
This is like 1980s, 1990s PG-13.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you see some, like, we forget, because when I tell people my comic is Bronze Age, 80s, and somebody got like a little, I'm like, you haven't read comics in the 80s. You didn't watch movies in the 80s. The 80s had some, go watch Revenge of the Nerds. Jeez, that would destroy people today.
Yeah,
but that's how I would say your movies are. Your comics are. When I say there's boobies, I don't want people to think they're porn mags. No.
Right. Yeah, and they're generally PG-13. The covers are more often R. The interiors, every once in a while there's a little more nudity, but it's for a purpose. It's never really lascivious.
Yeah, it's not gratuitous, and it's not
right.
Yeah.
So I'd say generally,
me, like some of my favorite comics, like Love and Rockets, it's starting to cross the line. As much as I love Love and Rockets, it's like tone it down a bit,
Right. Well, yeah, and Birdcage or something. Those guys did a spinoff, and it's like it was by Erotica, so it was actually kind of fully explicit. But anyway,
but not you. You're a good boy.
No, I'm a good boy-ish, mostly.
Yeah, it's cheeky.
It's cheeky. The covers are far more R, like the variant covers, than the interiors. The interiors, a hard PG-13, but there's not a lot of, I have a limit of how far I'll go, just because it don't feel tonally right. But
right, and since I'm sure I got some Tonicmole people in the audience, I have a Kickstarter now for my comic. It's a homage to Bronze Age comics, and there's Mary Sue, and I got some, since it's Tonicmole fans, I got some, it's cheeky, suggestive, but look, it doesn't cross the line, doesn't show full nudity and everything, but it's sexy. It's superhero comics. It's a visual medium. The women are beautiful, the men are strong. Yeah, Cheesecake. I actually have a character called Brie Cake who'll be debuting in the Sleeper Agent. So yeah, this, and issue 4 is going to be the hottest chick in the world. Tonicmole, that's for you. You're going to love it. But anyway, I got to get going. It's 8:30 right now, so I'm going to shut this down and then immediately start up. It's clobber time. And Tonic, if you want to join us, we're talking James Bond versus Indiana Jones.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to shut this down, and I'll see you guys. And I backed your book while we were talking, if you noticed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the money.
I'm a soft touch. You come on my channel, I pretty much back your book. I'm all right, see you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.
How do I turn this off? Like that.